So today we're going to make really simple salad. It's definitely summer. It's been very hot, and tomatoes are doing well this year as opposed to last year with the blight. So I thought this is something we do at the restaurant right now. Just the heirloom tomato salad. There are a few nuances to it that you can do at home, which I'll show you, or you can keep it really simple and just do tomatoes, olive oil, vinegar, salt, and pepper. So first, there's two bases to this recipe that we need to make. One is tomato water, and the other is basil oil. So the first thing with tomato water is you'll get lesser tomatoes. You can get some really ripe Roma tomatoes. You can get tomatoes in the market that are overripe and starting to break down, because that's going to have more juice in it, more of that water in there. And what you do is just take these tomatoes and just cut them up roughly. And what you can do with this is you can make this ahead of time, because it needs to hang, which you'll see. So what I do, I use a Cuisinart or a KitchenAid or whatever. If you don't have that, you can use a blender, just a regular old blender. The key is that you don't want to blend it too much so that it's pureed smooth. You want it to be a little bit chunky. So I put it in the mixer. A little bit of salt. It's going to help the water come out. And I do add a couple tablespoons of water just to get it started. You can see that it's broken down, but there's still some chunks in there. It's not pureed smooth. And what we do at the restaurant is we take an apron. We have the luxury that our aprons we rent. What we do is we put it in an apron, fold it up, tie the string, the waist string around it, and then hang it in the walk-in so the weight of the tomatoes is resting in there, and then it just starts to drip. And you'll get, takes a while, but you get this tomato water, what we saw. And basically, this is what you get. So it's not, like if you pureed it really hard, then it would be real red. But this is just how we did it, and we let this go overnight. And if you try this, it just tastes like a tomato, and it's just the water from it. So we use it for a lot of different things. Bases for sauces, in this salad. You can make a Bloody Mary instead of using tomato juice. You can use the tomato water. A lot of different things you can do with it. So that's the one base that you need to have ahead of time. What's good about this too is you can make this. You can freeze it in small batches and just take it out as you need it. So in the summertime, when you have all those tomatoes, you don't know what to do with it. You make some sauce, you can can it, and then you make some tomato water and freeze it. And then in the winter night, you have and enjoy summer again. Then, for basil oil, we make fresh basil oil at the restaurant, and some water. We'll start with cold water, brought it to a boil, a little salt, maybe a teaspoon or so. And then I just have some fresh basil leaves that I picked off the stem, and we're going to blanch this for about a minute. And what this does, so it breaks down the membranes of the leaf and makes it soft, so that when we blend it, it's nice and tender and it would emulsify into the oil. And we just use straight canola oil or true flavor of the basil. So we're going to let this blanch for about a minute, like I said, and then we're going to shock it. You hear that term, blanch and shock. So blanching is going into hot boiling water, salted typically, and then into ice cold water so that it stops cooking. Because basil and any green, the chlorophyll, if you overcook it, it will go black on you, especially in the mint family. They tend to go black. So that's been about a minute. And we're just cooling it down. And what it does, it also heightens the green in the basil. And you can do this for other herbs. We do it with chive. We've made chive oil, dill oil. And then you can also just do other vegetables. We make spinach puree like this. Take spinach, blanch it. So it's nice and cold. And you want to get all the excess water out, so squeeze it. And just give it a rough chop. And here you want to use a blender because you want that velocity. So, put my basil in there. And then using just canola oil, so a neutral oil that doesn't have any flavor. Just enough to cover it. So I'd probably say I put about 4 ounces, half a cup in there. After we make this oil, we put it into a container and then put it into an ice bath again. Because just from the friction of the blender, it does warm up and can start the basil oil warming up, and then it will go brown on you. So, put it in a stainless bowl is best because it will conduct the coldness from the water. So I just cool that down. And you have this pure, thick basil oil. Again, what you can do too is you can freeze this in small batches. Because if you leave it out at room temperature, eventually it will start to lose its color.